Okay, thanks, Kyle. Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Main Street, and we're really happy to have everyone with us this morning. We're going to be talking about promotion, the fourth of the Main Street 4-point approach, and just a few housekeeping things. Kyle is in charge and he's in the control room for us. If you need anything, you can type something into the chat room, or there's a question and answer feature, and also you can raise your hand. So you're all automatically muted. If you'd like to ask a question at any time, please feel free to use one of those three avenues for doing so, and Kyle will call on you or let me know that there's a question. So let's go ahead and get started right away. And again, we talk about the 4-point approach. If you're new to Main Street, some of you may, this may be your first training, this might be your first introduction to Main Street. We have what we call the 4-point approach, which is organization, design, promotion, and economic vitality. And today we're going to talk about promotion. So when we talk about promotion in Main Street, we're talking about getting more people to visit the district or the downtown by marketing its unique character and assets. And I always like to make the caveat to let people know there is a difference between organizational promotion and promotion. So if you're on the organization committee, you are promoting the organization to stakeholders, to the community, etc. If you are on the promotion committee, you are promoting the district itself and its assets. Okay, so there's a fine distinction there, but it's important to make sure that you know that. So what is the purpose of the promotion committee? It's to promote the commercial district as the center of commerce, culture, and community life for residents and visitors alike. So the top three things we're going to talk about is understanding the changing market, and that's both what your potential shoppers could be. I didn't put it down here, but also who your shoppers are now, your current shoppers. And then what is your competition doing? Always in business, for those of you who may not have studied economics or business, you always need to keep an eye on what your competition is doing. And if they're doing something that's successful, you want to study that and say, why is that successful and how can I emulate that success? You may not want to actually copy exactly what they're doing, but if they're doing something that's successful, you may want to emulate that success. So that's what you need to study with your market. And then identifying what your assets are in your district. The people themselves, business owners, the buildings, the heritage or the stories from your district, and the identifiable institutions that are there. So if you have, churches that have been there 150 years, or train stations, or banks, or schools, any of those types of institutions are assets to your district. And then defining what your district's market niche is. What is that unique? And we've talked about this in like almost all four, I believe, possibly all four of the 4 points. You have a unique position in the marketplace, something that makes you absolutely different from every other business district or neighborhood or downtown. There's something that sets you apart, and you need to find out what that unique positioning is. Now, these first 3 activities are done in partnership with the board of directors and other committees. It's not just the promotion committee that does this. So if you've been to the other 3 trainings, last week we did economic vitality. We talked a lot about studying demographics and studying what your market is. And so this is one of those exercises that the entire board of directors and all the committees, all the people that are involved in your Main Street program, sit down and identify these things and work together so that you're all on the same page, and your, positioning statement, your marketing statement, your everything that you're going to do, your mission, your vision, all of that stuff. So it all lines up and you're all working from the same page, okay? Then the promotion committee or the task force should focus on creating fresh new image campaigns, retail promotions, tourism opportunities, and special events that entice people to your district. So here's some of the people that are recommendations that you may want to think about including on these committees. The merchants themselves. I've been involved in Main Street before where the merchants are not even talked to, let alone invited to join these committees. And I don't know how that is done, because everything that we're doing in Main Street, we're doing for the businesses that are there. That is why we are here. So having them have a voice and sharing in this is extremely important. If you have a Chamber of Commerce, having them involved, a local arts association or associations, art teachers, art schools. Here in Orlando, we have Full Sail, which is a very creative group of students and teachers over there. So they're wonderful to invite to things, and actually they do projects. The students there do projects. So they're good to have involved because sometimes they can do some things like videography and websites and all kinds of stuff that they can do to help you. School board members, especially if you have like a high school or, you know, any schools that are institutions in your districts. I know one of our districts right now has a representative from, I believe, the principal from their school that sits on their board. Libraries. If you have a library that is anywhere near any of your districts, libraries often have their own kind of promotional schedule. Now, a lot of what I'm going to say today is pre-COVID, and hopefully on the other side of COVID, this stuff will all be the same, but, you know, take what I'm saying and kind of filter that through COVID. But a lot of libraries have their own promotional marketing schedule. They do events, you know, all kinds of things like that. So if you can work together with the library and the people who do those things, you know, you can kind of double your money, so to speak. Public relations professionals, marketing professionals, graphic designers, digital marketing professionals, teachers of marketing and design, advertising and tourism staff, civic organizations, special interest clubs, and, you know, a lot of times that's like the Rotary, the Kiwanis, the Elks, the Moose, the, you know, all of those different groups that may be in your downtown or in your districts. And again, right now we're at home, a lot of us, and so you can do a lot of this stuff via Zoom on a computer, so you can possibly get a lot more people involved. Bank marketing departments. Banks also have a whole budget that they put towards marketing. And so if you can connect in with what their interests are and what they're doing, you can sometimes take advantage and utilize some of those assets and get their bank marketing department to work with you on your promotions. Event planning and marketing students. The Rosen School has a whole, out at UCF, they have a whole group that's studying event planning, and so getting some of those students to volunteer, and they can actually get hands-on helping you plan events. Reporters and editors, artists themselves, ad agencies, and the YMYWCA. Okay, so what are the roles of the committee? I hate it when it says committee meetings, but we do have to meet somehow or another. People have to meet so they can analyze the data that you've collected and develop strategies, brainstorm ideas, and plan events. Then everyone needs to visit merchants. We talked last week about how your executive directors should be out there, you know, on a regular basis, whatever that regular basis is, walking and visiting merchants. But the people on your committees and your board members should also be doing that. You should be talking to the merchants, getting their ideas. Not every one of them is going to be able to attend committee meetings. Now, the great thing is if you can do them via Zoom right now and you can record them and you can make those recordings available to your merchants, if they're not able to attend the meetings, at least you can solicit, you know, their ideas and their participation. and then update them on all your plans. You can't be upset with your merchants if you're doing some kind of activity. I've heard directors over the years that are like, well, they didn't even stay open, or, they didn't even participate in the event that we were having. Well, if you're not communicating to them about the event and how that they can participate in that event, then you shouldn't be surprised. So that's something that's very, very important. Talk to your media, answer questions they may have, give them, all of your fresh news and ideas. We have some great bloggers, some great people here in Orlando that love to get our content, and, they put it out there if we give it to them. So, sometimes you can even negotiate some advertising with them if you're providing them with content. Coordinating different groups that you can get to participate or attend or sponsor or be some kind of a partner. So, I'll give you an example, like some of our districts have hospitals in them. And so if the hospital wants to do something that's based around, breast cancer or around children's cancer, or, I know they have like the Red Heart Days based on the heart disease for women. There's different things like that that different groups are already doing. And if you can work with them and partner with them on those events so that you're not working at cross purposes, you're actually working together, you can also a lot of times share expenses and share whatever monies you may make on the event as well. Then you need to organize projects, schedule who the participants are, get vendors involved, contractors and services, and then actually running the event. It is very important for committee members and board members to be at these events. When I was the Main Street director, all my board members had polo shirts with our logo on them. And I know a lot of our Main Streets here in Orlando, when they do events, they have t-shirts for everybody who's a volunteer to wear. One thing that's really good about that is everybody that's at the event knows who the volunteers are if they need help or they have questions. But we need always volunteers. You need people that will help set up. And I got to tell you, we're going to talk about next week when we do board training. We're going to talk a little bit about the role of your executive directors and what happens in their lives. And, I've talked to executive directors that have done events like New Year's Eve is a really good example. And if they do some kind of event like that and it's over at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and all the board members had a really good time and they went home and the director is there alone with their spouse or their children or their friends or their family, cleaning up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning while the board members are all at home sleeping. That shouldn't happen. That's the best way in the world to lose your executive directors. When there is an event that takes place that your Main Street is doing, that event belongs to everyone, and everyone needs to participate and take a part of that. So, making sure that you're staffing a booth or you're on cleanup or you're on setup or, whatever that is, but everybody has a role to play. So there's specific elements when we talk about promotion in Main Street, and there's specifically 4 of them. And the first one is an image campaign, which accentuates the positives in your district and dispels the negatives. There's retail and business promotions that generate immediate sales. Those are the things that make the cash registers ring for your businesses that night or that day. There are special events that generate traffic, activity, and positive experiences. And a lot of times, the cash registers may not ring that day, but the idea is to get people used to coming so that the cash registers will ring at other times. And then heritage tourism. You want to create authentic experiences in your districts that will attract local people and also visitors. So we're going to unpack those and break them down. And in image development, we're talking about what is the image of your district or downtown. Not necessarily your organization, but when people say the name of your downtown or district, what comes to their mind? So you want to be very detailed and specific and imaginative, and also have a compelling story to share, capture the public's imagination, reflect the true quality of the place. Now, when we talk about a vision, you talk about what you want to become, and sometimes that's not what you are right now, right? So you want to reflect what the true quality of your place is, so you don't have people come and then they're disappointed. But you can also inject some of that vision in with that, as this is what we're working to be. But, you know, make sure it's authentic and then consistently delivered whenever someone visits there. So every time people come to your district, they kind of get that image every time. I have the example here of the Ivanhoe Village logo. They redid their logo a couple of years back and used a local marketing company to help them, and the marketing company then volunteered, and the person who did all of this work is on the promotion committee, so that they ensure that that brand is continually done through the colors they use, through the fonts they use, through the imaging they use in everything that they do. And what I really liked about this logo, and I have to be honest, when I first saw it, I kind of went, oh. And then when I thought it through and I really looked at it, I went, this is pretty cool. So they've used every single one of the letters, as you can see, in their name to reflect the things that they have in their district. So in the I, you see these waves because they're on a lake. And then the V has a martini. And I think the A is a little nondescript, but then the N has the shopping bag, and the O has a bike wheel in this example. But in some of the other examples, like they've changed it for Christmas and it may have a bell in there, or I think they changed it for like record day. They had a music record in there, an LP. And then the E has the fork for dining. So it really kind of reflects what all makes up their district, and they can change these images out depending on what they're focusing on. If they're doing something that's health related, they can change some of these out that they look like health things. So I think that was very imaginative. There's 7 steps to creating an image for Main Street. First, you have to identify what your district's assets are. It's really kind of like a SWOT analysis where you take a look at all of the things that you have, but what are the assets you already have? Even at the very beginning of a Main Street program, when you're getting started, everybody has assets. So mapping those out and then compiling your information again about your marketplace, analyzing all of that data, matching your assets with what the market niches are that you have. Writing that positioning statement, and then developing a district marketing strategy. And this can go along with your transformation strategy. You know, those should kind of line up. What's the transformation strategy? And then how are you going to market that strategy through your district? And then designing a graphic icon. So in that, your advertising for your image should promote the Main Street's unique qualities and market position through newspaper, radio, TV. I mean, all these things listed here. And, you know, nowadays it's like all of the above. Whatever you can use, whatever avenue you have to market your image for your district, you know, utilize what you can. So here's an ad campaign from a long time ago that I particularly liked, because it was called The Owner is Home. And the one thing I think sometimes in Main Street we forget to do is actually market those business owners. And we talked a little bit about that last week, but every single one of these people is a member of your business community. They may not live in your community, but they have a business there. And they all have their own stories, right? So I think it's great to market the fact that these people are your friends and your neighbors, and they are investing in your community. So it's important to get people to recognize them as people and who they are, and you know how they got started and what their business is all about. So I loved this campaign. And then using social media hashtags. National Main Street has a We Are Main Street hashtag. Main Street, Orlando Main Street has a local thing, okay? And using those hashtags and trying to get your businesses to utilize those hashtags and to I remember when we first started Main Street here in Orlando, and a lot of our districts didn't have names. And so, some of these businesses had been in these areas forever, but the area really didn't have a name. It didn't have a business association. None of the businesses worked together and marketed together. So it was interesting when we started to see them kind of join in. And the one that I remember the most is Mills 50. It wasn't named Mills 50 prior to them becoming a Main Street. And so all of a sudden, we put up banners in the district. We put out planters. I mean, the Mills 50 name and logo was everywhere, and people liked it. And so all of a sudden, the businesses started, talking about Track Shack in Mills 50. All of the businesses would tag Mills 50 or hashtag Mills 50 or say they were in Mills 50 in their advertising and their campaigns. And it went a long way to building the image of that district and really helped put Mills 50 on the map really quickly. Collateral materials. Now, our Milk District, if you have a great name for your downtown or a great image that correlates with it, I mean, you can't do a whole lot better than the Milk District. I don't think. They're very lucky to have, a great name, right? So they have all of these great collateral materials that they can do that repeats their logo. They do it on all of their print materials, public signs, souvenirs, and in their businesses. So you see at the bottom right, they actually sent away to China and ordered this great big cow. And the cow is actually a tent. And so when they do their events, the board sits inside the cow with a table, right? What a great way. And all of you can be creative. Nowadays, you can get some so cool collateral materials, no matter what. You may not be able to do a cow, but, you're going to have something that goes along with what your district is that you can utilize that over and over again. So here, they've put their name on the bike racks. They've got, I think these are magnets or static cling stickers. They did these little milk bottles and they actually light up like LED candles, that people can use in their businesses and in the bars. And then of course they did murals, and they have T.G. Lee, which is a milk company, in their district. And you see in this picture, T.G. Lee had that great big huge blank wall, and there's businesses across the street on the other side, but there's nothing on that side of the street but this big blank wall. And so they were able to work with T.G. Lee to get them to do a big mural on the side of their building that re-emphasizes that partnership or that, image with the cows and the milk, right? So it's a great, great example. Media relations. You need to generate publicity through accurate, detailed, and interesting press releases and timely communication with media contacts that have been carefully cultivated. And whenever you have something, here we have our mayor loves to do proclamations, and the city commissioner that's with that district as well. And our department will get proclamations done for the mayor, and they love to go to the businesses if they're having like a 5, 10, 15, 25, 50-year anniversary. They love to come and visit and take pictures and generate that publicity. So there's lots of little ways like that you can make sure every little thing that you're doing gets out there so it's known to the public. You also want to make sure the community recognizes and celebrates Main Street's importance and progress through public displays and special events. So anytime there's any kind of award ceremonies for your district, if you're giving an award out for the best storefront or the best renovation that's been done, or if you're doing ribbon cuttings or before and after renovation displays, and you can do those in the windows of the businesses. They can show when they've done a renovation what it looked like before, and people can celebrate those things. These are the logos from the 10 main streets that we have in the city of Orlando. So it kind of gives you an idea. The logos should kind of point out and show the difference and what these districts have that make them unique. I wanted to show you this because we do have one district that's a Great American Main Street Award winner from 2016. There's only 3 in the state of Florida. And our Audubon Park Garden District is one of them. And you can see at the top of their e-newsletter, they've used that in their image building. They put it on a lot of the things they have. I believe Jennifer even has it in her email signature. And that's an image builder. Hey, we won the biggest Main Street Award you can win in the country. And that's a good thing to promote that and make sure that's a part of your image. But I kind of want to go back to that. I also like Audubon Park's newsletter. And a lot of people that I've talked to, when I say, you know, which one of our district's newsletters do you like? They like the Audubon Park one because, and you can see a little bit here in the screenshot at the bottom, they have links to everything in their newsletter. And so people can just like go right to it and see what they're talking about. So again, we're going to reemphasize some of the ways that you can utilize this general image promotion. So again, the logo should be very unified. You should be using it on everything, and you should try to get, you know, your businesses are going to have their own logos, but you should try to get that kind of partnership and sharing as much as possible. So, you know, where is that business located? Oh, we know it's in, you know, this district. So everything should be highly identifiable and simple in design and easily understood. People shouldn't have to figure out what your logo is, and then flexible in use. So make sure that you can put it on signage if you're allowed, shopping bags. Some districts will work along with their merchants to have, you know, the businesses have the predominant logo on a shopping bag, and then maybe the district logo is secondary, and everybody in the downtown could possibly use similar shopping bags. Static cling stickers, magnets, flyers, t-shirts, advertisements, business directories or shopping guides, walking brochures, and all of this stuff can be virtual nowadays too. Photo and or scavenger hunt contests, parking maps, district newsletters, news releases, promotional packets, your website, and all of your social media. They all should have the same image, be using the same promotional, like I said before, colors. Everything ought to be talking about the same image. If you're using Constant Contact or what's the other one, the monkey one, can't think of the name of it, MailChimp. If you're using one of those for your e-newsletters, you can still make sure you're using the same images over and over again. So that looks just like your website, looks just like your social media, you know, on and on and on. So why is an improved image important? And in Main Street, you know, all of the 4 points work in conjunction with one another, and we do them all for a reason. We don't just promote the district because it's fun, right? Everything has a reason to do that. And again, Main Street is all about commerce. It's all about business. We could have great buildings in our main streets, but if they're all vacant and they don't have great successful businesses in them that are profitable and are doing really well, then what good is a great building? Like a great empty building is not great for our communities, right? So improving our image is important because as you improve the image of your district, you will get more reinvestment in business and property. You will recruit better businesses that are not just hobby businesses or undercapitalized businesses. You will get savvy businesses in your district. And if you have an improved image in that district, your property owners will invest more in their properties, or if you have underutilized or underinvested in properties in your district, you will have people coming to your district to buy those properties and invest in them. So it's all about more reinvestment in your district, and then that will attract more customers to those businesses. The better businesses, the better properties, the better image, the more customers, which what does that mean? Higher profits to the businesses, okay? Which means they'll be there longer, they'll be more successful, and that's better for everyone. And that's the name of this game. That's the bottom line of what we do in Main Street right there. So let's talk about the business promotion side of things. These are the types of things that we talked about that make your businesses successful, that make their cash registers ring. So the first one is a cooperative promotion. And that is where you sell the businesses in the same category. Okay, so it's a competitive cluster. And we're going to unpack these a little bit. Then there's the cross retail promotion where you sell the businesses with complementary goods and services. And then there's niche promotions where you focus on a consumer group, which includes visitors rather than the goods and services in the businesses themselves. So a cooperative promotion focuses on the comparative aspects of retailing in the district. So clustering stores that are in the same business category and can be promoted together. So here's some examples. You have a spring fashion show. So you're actually promoting all of the clothing, jewelry. You can even probably promote hair, those types of things that are all they're comparative businesses. A Taste of Main Street restaurant guide where you promote all of the restaurants that you have. A Mother's Day promotion of all the gift shops. So you highlight, Mother's Day, Father's Day, I think, do they still do Sweetest Day? I think so. Valentine's Day, whatever, where you promote all of the things that you can buy from businesses that would service those needs. Here's an example of our Main Streets. We used to do a Main Street Restaurant Week where, we all kind of found out here in Orlando, and I'm guessing probably in Florida as a whole, August is a pretty slow time for our restaurants because here people are getting ready to go back to school at the end of August. And so they're kind of focused on that. And they're either taking last vacations or they're doing back to school stuff. And so not a lot of people are at the restaurants, or, people in Florida go to the beaches kind of on their last hurrah, or the mountains. And so our restaurants, that was one of their slowest time of year. So we started Main Street Restaurant Week. And we'll talk a little bit about when promotions kind of, they kind of filter out and it's like, okay, we've done that. Now what are we going to do? So when we did Restaurant Week, we didn't really include like the bars and the breweries and people like that. So the Main Street directors got together and started a cooperative promotion called Sip and Savor Weeks in August, where, it's both food and specialty drinks. So you can see they have their own website, sipandsavorotown.com, and they promoted those businesses in their districts that were, the same category. Then we have cross retail promotions, and this is where you group your businesses with complementary goods in one type of retail event or in some kind of coordinated displays. So you can have joint window displays, if it's again something you're doing for like Mother's Day, or you're doing a fashion show type thing and you have clothing and jewelry, then you can do great window displays on that. Or if you have a segment, some Main Streets have like a home improvement segment in their downtowns where they might have a interior design studio or two, and they might have a great furniture store, or some kind of home improvement store, and even your gift shops could be a part of that. And you could do something with that. They've done an event where it's Death by Chocolate Walk weekend. And so they've pulled in all of the different businesses, and a lot of people will do this, and they'll do like a girls' night out thing with the chocolate and wine. So, anybody that would have chocolate, flowers, wine, things like that, where you would pull together. I always tell a couple of stories. Excuse me. From when I was the Main Street director, we had the Mid-Ohio race car course near our downtown, and all the people would come in through our downtown to go to the race car course. And we had the Sports Car Club of America that came every year for a week. And so we had all of our businesses did their windows and their storefronts up with anything that had to do with the races. And these were vintage sports cars. So everybody decorated up for the races, and then we all got checkered flags and hung checkered flags off of every storefront in the whole downtown. So it was just kind of a very welcoming thing for when the race cars came through. They were like, wow, you know, we're being welcomed to their community. So that's the type of thing that we're looking at, is when you pull all of those things together. Also, I tell the story, my husband and I owned a pizza place in our downtown, in our hometown. And, you know, back in the day before Netflix and all that, there were actual video stores. And so we often partnered with the video store to, you know, we would give coupons on our pizza boxes that you could take to the video store and get, you know, either a percentage or a couple dollars off a video. And the video store would vice versa. They would hand out coupons to our pizza place when you rented a video. So businesses can do that and do cross retail promotions, but you can also do that in events. Niche promotions focuses the attention not on the product mix, but on the specific consumer group through specifically distributed flyers, coupons, posters, and or media ads. So this was our Ivanhoe Village group that did, and I think Christian still does these historic bike tours when we started having the bikes that you could rent. And she worked it out with the bike company. They would drop off so many bikes. And, you know, she takes these tours through the district and shows them all of the great things that they have in the district. And then, you know, they pay a price and they can get a drink or they can get something to eat. There's also things that you can put together, like appreciation days for senior citizens, or put together employee coupons for area workers. We had a card when I was a Main Street director that was our members and all of their employees had a card. And so like all of our downtown businesses would give us some kind of, you know, special coupon or percentage off. And so we would have banks that would join Main Street Mansfield, and all of the people that worked at the bank would go into a restaurant and they'd get a free drink or 10% off or whatever it was. And so the banks that hadn't joined, you know, we started getting phone calls from their employees like, you know, why do the employees at Richland Bank all have these cards and we don't have these banks, you know, these cards? And we're like, well, you know, you need to get your bank to join Main Street Mansfield. We did get members that way because the employees wanted to have those benefits. So things like that. You could, like I said, a girls' night out or after school special for students. You know, there's a lot of different things that you can do. I've known some businesses that have some downtowns that have some great retail in them that they will do a Christmas shopping night for husbands. And they literally would have the women like make out their shopping list of what they wanted for Christmas in these stores. And then they would have chairs and seats and everything in the store and a big screen TV, and they would invite the husbands in and they would have beer, and the husbands would sit there and they would give the, you know, credit card and the list to the people in the store and like, you know, here, do my wife's Christmas gift and wrap it up, and I'll sit here and drink beer and eat pizza and watch football, you know, and guys loved it. So, you know, things like that you can think of that are specific niche promotions. Then there's business activities, and your businesses also present an image of your district, and they should present their own image of their own businesses. But again, you should have a collective image of your district as a whole from all of your businesses are kind of sharing in that image. So, that image that's presented by the district as a whole is only as enticing as the image that's presented by each business. So the business image is the building, the signage, the window displays, the storefront, the display of goods, your intensive customer service, and the 5 senses. So let's talk about that a little bit. If you have an eyesore business or building in your districts, this is one of the things that throughout the 4 points, your committee can work with that business owner, that property owner, to make sure that that business, that building comes around to where it portrays that image that you want for your district. Now, I have had some Main Streets that their image is they want to be a little bit more gritty and they don't want to be so shined up and polished like maybe another district does. You have to decide what that is in your district. But as a promotion committee, you can help work with the design committee and with the economic vitality committee to identify those businesses or buildings that need help, okay? Because that's all a part of your district image, right? The 5 senses are really important, and I'll try to go through this fast because this is one of my bugaboos. So think about your 5 senses, and if there's any business owners, I don't know if Kyle can tell me if people raise their hands, if this will work or not, because I can't see you all. But if you are a business owner today, can you maybe raise your hand and Kyle can tell me how many hands we have? Do we have any business owners watching?
I have 3.
3? Okay.
So 4.
4? Anybody else? Okay. So I want you to think about your business, and oftentimes business owners, we tell the story in the old days, business owners often lived upstairs when we had, 2-3 story downtown buildings. And so they would come downstairs and you'd have to come out the front door and go in the front door of your business to open the doors for commerce during the day. We don't really have that nowadays. Most people who are doing business don't live above their storefronts, and a lot of them commute in from somewhere else and they drive in the back of their building and park in the back. So unless you go out your front door, you really aren't kind of policing the front of your business on a regular basis. So for those 4 of you, and also for the Main Street people, on a regular basis, walk across the street from your business and look at your building and look at your signage and look at everything and pretend you don't own it, right? And take a really good look at it. Then go in your building and look at how you've displayed your goods and really kind of, be constructive criticism. If you don't feel like you can do it, ask a friend or ask somebody else who's in that same business, or ask somebody from Main Street, will you come in and give me, some of your thoughts? Somebody who's in interior design would be great, right? To come in and just take a look, because sometimes you're missing out on some really good things. Because, as a former small business owner myself, I can tell you that, when you own your own business, you are so into what you're doing on a daily basis, just keeping that business going, that you often miss those little detail things. So ask for some help, and Main Street can try to get you some help. Here's another thing though, implore your 5 senses, right? So what does it smell like in your store? Have you thought about that? So some Main Street businesses are in old, musty, historic buildings. Does it smell musty when somebody walks through that commercial on TV about you go nose, what did they call it? Nose blind, where you just don't smell it anymore. Ask somebody to be honest with you. When they walk in, what does it smell like? If you are a bakery, don't you think when people walk in, they go, fresh bread, or, apple cinnamon muffins, right? That's what it should smell like. If you're a coffee shop, people ought to smell the coffee, right? There's a distinct smell. I often tell a story. We were doing a resource team visit once, and we were all, what is that smell? What is that smell? We were walking around downtown, and all of a sudden somebody goes, we have an apple dumpling factory in our downtown. They really did. Never heard of an apple dumpling factory before. You don't think we all hightailed it to the apple dumpling factory? It brought us into that business because we smelled it all over the downtown. So your senses, your 5 senses, smell is really super important, because if they walk into your business and it's not an appealing smell, people are going to leave. Sight, same thing. Sounds. I have a big deal about music in businesses. There is music that matches what type of business you have. And as a business owner, if you're going to have music playing in the background, it's important. These are detail things that will make a big difference for the image. So, you know, when you go into a coffee shop, and I used to in my car have that, oh shoot, now I forgot the radio thing you buy. Okay. Maybe Kyle can like tell me what it is. I'm sure he knows. But there was a channel. There probably still is a channel. That's Starbucks channel. That's made for coffee shop music, right? Now, you have to be careful when you're playing music in anything that you're utilizing, you know, if there's licensing fees or anything like that. The other thing I learned in Main Street early on is if you're going to just play the radio, you know, you identify with a radio station, you're going to play that radio station all day in your business. You know, how many commercials are coming across that radio station during the day for your competition, right? So is that what you really want to do? You really want to promote your competition? When people are in your business, they're hearing radio advertising for your competition. So be careful that the mood of your business is portrayed through the music. Now, I'm one of those people, and I know everybody's different, but if I'm out doing my holiday shopping at Christmas time and businesses aren't playing Christmas music, I leave. I won't go there. I used to get very upset during Jingle Eve in Ivanhoe Village. There's Christmas music everywhere. It's a Christmas event, and I went to the same restaurant every year for dinner, and every year when I went there, no Christmas music. One year they actually had Christmas lights all over the outside and nobody had bothered to plug them in, right? So we actually went up to the bar and paid the bartenders to find the Christmas music station on their channels. And when they put it on, everybody went, oh, everybody loved it because it was a Christmas event, right? So use your common sense. I'll tell you another story. My husband and I went to Margaritaville in Pensacola for a vacation when they first opened, you know, many years back. And I had torn my meniscus before we left, so I was on crutches and was pretty much just on a lounge chair at the pool all day was pretty much all I could do, which was fine with me. And we were sitting out there, and almost everybody that was around the pool was pretty close to our age, within 10 years here and back and forth. And the music that was playing was this, you know, hard rock headbanger music. And we're all kind of looking at each other as like, we're at Margaritaville. And nobody was really doing anything but kind of sitting there. It was kind of like, my husband got up and went and talked to the bartenders, who were these young kids. And he asked them, you know, is this really the type of music you guys have out here, or can you change the music? And they were like, oh no, we're not allowed to change the music. Well, my husband went inside and went up to the front desk, and while he was there, somebody overheard him. He goes, excuse me, what are you talking about? And he told the guy, and the man said, oh, well, we have everything on a specific music channel here. You know, this is Margaritaville. You know, we control that music. And he goes, well, I don't think that's the kind of music that's out at the pool. So the guy walked out, and here, this man was Jimmy Buffett's music manager. And at all of his properties, he manages the music, and they are to leave the music on Margaritaville type music. And let me tell you, that man walked out and those kids got an earful, and he changed the music. And do you know, the line at the bar all of a sudden was a mile long. Why? Because the music matched the image and the activity, and that was what people wanted, and that was why they were there. So think about all of those things. The greatest impact in your business district is when every single business in that district acts in unison, and they all work together, and they do joint promotions, and all of that doesn't happen by accident. It requires planning. So draw up a year-long calendar in advance for the things that the Main Street district is going to do that are going to be, you know, not every district has retail that corresponds with back to school or, Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, all of those, holidays. Some of those things are no-brainers, but also, again, you have to default back to your market positioning statement of what you have, because your business district may not have a lot of retail where you can do back to school days. But if you have a lot of restaurants, there's a lot of things like, we went out to dinner last Friday night and didn't know it was National Hamburger Day, and we had ordered cheeseburgers and we got $3 off our cheeseburgers. So things like that you can all promote depending on what you have. The best way to look at it with your business community is talking to them, like I said, with the Restaurant Week promotion. When is the time of year for those businesses that is their least business-friendly time of year? So pretty much for all retail, the Christmas holiday season, from probably sometimes early November all the way through the first of the year, they really don't need you to be doing a lot of spectacular retail events because they probably have as much retail as they can handle. I don't know. You need to talk to them about it. But that's usually the case. But usually come January and February, maybe they're not having so much business. So you need to look at your calendar during the year and say, what times of the year do we need to specifically put out there promotions for those retailers or those businesses that will bring more business to them during that time? Okay. Small Business Saturday is another kind of no-brainer that Main Streets have been doing in correlation with American Express for probably a decade now. It's kind of a no-brainer, but there's still a lot of things that you can do to talk about shopping small. I brought my Small Business Saturday shopping bag with me. You can see that. If you sign up, and I don't think they're going to do it this year as far as American Express doing much, but you can still do Small Business Saturday and figure out a way to do it on your own. This was something that I loved that Mills 50 did. I still think this is one of probably the best social media campaigns that I've seen. And I believe that they started this during Small Business Month. She's got on here Small Business Saturday, so they might have done it Small Business Saturday. Irregardless, Mills 50 was promoting their independent small businesses. And so they did these on social media. And every single one of them had the business owner's picture, their name. It also had the Mills 50 district logo in there, but then it had a little bit about the business itself and the business owner, and then all of their information. And you can see over on the right-hand side, the post that Joanne did that, has the hashtags in there, has tagged Small Business Saturday, and has tagged Ashley in her restaurant. And so they did a whole series of these, a different one every day, right? Which I thought was wonderful. Again, bringing attention to the business owners themselves, because why are we doing Main Street? Okay, we're doing it to assist these people, and we're doing it so these people are successful, because when they're successful, our communities are successful. This was another cute one that I liked that SoDo District did. They took the 12 days of Christmas and they put into it 12 of their SoDo businesses and made that very personal. And I really thought that was cute. And they did a different one, just like the song Every Day on the first day of SoDo, and then they did that throughout the holiday season, which was really cute. Also, promoting the businesses. When I talk to businesses and ask them what it is they want from Main Streets, and they say they want the Main Street program to do more to help them promote their business. They can promote their businesses themselves, but think about if you owned a business and you'd put everything that you owned and all of your life savings into this business, and then this group of volunteers from the community out of nowhere comes and say, we're going to help you too. I mean, that's wonderful. They get a leg up from businesses that aren't in Main Street. So A lot of our main streets will do business of the month. Soto does squeeze of the month, which I think is really, really cute. And so, you can do things. Some of our businesses do anytime there's a new business. In the city of Orlando, we have ordinances now. We've laxed a lot of those things during COVID, but we have ordinances where people are not allowed to put out balloons and flags and the wiggly people that stand up, and we're not allowed to do a lot of those banners and things like that in our business districts. But when we get a new business, our main streets can put out an A-frame sign and, have balloons and things like that and say, hey, here's another new business, and draw attention to them, right? So those are promotional things. I'm not going to go into a big commercial for the Districts app, but if you're not familiar with the Districts app, it is a local company that was started by a gentleman here in Orlando. That was a professor at Full Sail University, and he does everything for free unless you do an event. And then you can do like scavenger hunts and tours and all of those kinds of things and do it through this app. But you can have a regular app for your downtown or your Main Street district for free, and the businesses can claim their thing for free. And the only time that you pay is when, you do some kind of an event. So our Mills 50 district did this Madcap event that was super cute. These drones fly in and they give you the hint, and you go around and you do a scavenger hunt. And you could do a lot of this. I believe right now Ivanhoe Village has been doing a golden pineapple scavenger hunt. You can do that stuff during COVID virtually right now if you're creative as well. Building your customer base is important for the district and also for each business. And so some businesses have done customer loyalty programs. You can do it through your district as well. I see there's a couple questions, so when I get through this slide, I'll get to those. So you want to target those people who are coming, they're a one-time customer. How do you turn them into a regular customer so they come back more than once? Do you give discounts, coupons, news articles, or different district promotions by email? Now, I want to say something here to our non-business owners, our Main Street people. Oftentimes in Main Street, we want to go to our businesses and say, will you offer a discount, right? And especially right now when businesses are hurting financially, they're always being asked to give and give and give. And I tell you this as a former small business merchant, don't always ask them to give a discount or to give something for free. It's much better if you're going to do a promotion with one of your businesses where people have to come to the business and buy something to get something. Does that make sense? Like, make sure that the businesses benefit, that you're not always saying, oh, well, they're businesses, they can give us money. Well, you're not the only person asking them, right? They often have many, many, many people coming in and say, we had a pizza place. Every football team, every little league team, everybody wanted us to feed the teams or wanted us to give discounts or, my husband one year had hundreds and hundreds of dollars that we put into giving away free stuff. If you are a very small business and you're operating on a very small margin, sometimes that free stuff you give away is the difference of whether you're making a profit and you can stay in business or not. Some small businesses are on that short of a profit margin window. So think those things through when you're doing that, and make sure that the businesses get something out of it. They can still give a discount, they can still do something, but when somebody buys something, right, so that they actually are making money. They're not in business just because, oh, I want to be in business and it's fun. They're in business to make money. It's their livelihood. It's how they pay their bills. So don't ever forget that. So you should always, as a business owner, collect 5 things. And this is, some businesses have sign-ins or, different ways. They used to have like write-in guest books in businesses in the old days. You can do all this stuff electronically now, but you should collect 5 things: the customer's email, their address, their birthday, their anniversary, and their zip code. And you can do a lot with that on computers nowadays where you can keep them updated, send them something special. If I get a happy birthday for a business, I know it's all electronic, but it still makes you feel good, right? So let's see what our question is here. There is an app for City District. Okay, that's great, Jeff. Thank you. Okay. So here is another, I'm going to just go through some examples. This was a district that had a lot of retail. So they went in and they took pictures, got it in the neighborhood. These were the actual things they could buy in their neighborhood business district. And they did this, of course, during the holiday season. But you can also see that they partnered with State Farm Insurance, helped pay for this ad. And they actually were able to show people, you know, go shopping. You can find these in our district. Here's another one. Make a statement this holiday season and shop local. And it shows different things that you can get in different businesses from the locals. Here's another one. This particular district has like a magazine that they do. It's very expensive. They're a DDA, so they have some advertising marketing budget that they can use to do this, but you could do a lot of this online, you know, as well nowadays, and it wouldn't cost you the money to actually, you know, do a catalog. This is one that I did, in Troy, Ohio. They had a outdoor speaker system in their downtown, beautiful historic downtown, beautiful town square. And so for the holidays, they wanted to play Christmas music. And so what they did, you know, if you want to play like the traditional holiday songs, you have to pay the royalty fees to do that. And so what they did was they got local musicians to play unique songs, their own songs that they'd written for the holidays, or they would get them to sing White Christmas or whatever the song was, and they wouldn't have to pay as high of royalty fees. In the end, what they ended up doing was they made, you know, back in the day, this was when people had CDs, but they made CDs where they would have the local person, and then there would be, you know, Bing Crosby singing White Christmas, and then there'd be another local person, and then there would be, you know, whatever the holiday song was, Frosty the Snowman or whatever. And they put these all on a CD. Well, this loop played in their downtown on the speaker system all throughout the holiday season, where you would hear local artists, and then you would hear, you know, the traditional holiday music. And then they put them on a CD and they sold them for a fundraiser, and they sold out of them, you know, lickety split. So special events. Now, again, you have to get your retailers, and those of you that own businesses, when your Main Street program is doing a special event, it's to bring foot traffic and it's to bring people in, but it may not necessarily. Now, in some cases it may. Like, I believe Jingle Eve, I've worked at Jingle Eve, used to work it when I first got here. And I believe restaurants and businesses always told me that was their like busiest night of the year, and they made the most money for the whole year. That's fabulous, but that doesn't always happen at special events. So you have to understand that you're using your district or your downtown as a stage. When you do a special event, you're bringing people in to show off what that district is like, to get people that may not have ever been there before. And then hopefully they'll go, oh, I didn't know there was a stationery store down here. Or I didn't know, you know, that I could buy jewelry or whatever, you know, in this district. And then they come back on their own time when they're shopping to actually spend money. That's the idea. So we kind of, you know, over the years of being in Main Street, and like I said, I owned a pizza shop, and my community had an Oktoberfest every year, and they would rent out the sidewalk in front of my pizza shop to somebody else with a trailer, you know, so a Pepsi trailer or, you know, elephant ears or whatever, right in front of my pizza shop. So my storefront was blocked off, and I had pizza delivery drivers that were trying to get out of my back parking lot to go deliver pizzas to my regular customers that people coming to Oktoberfest would park them in my parking lot, right? So the Oktoberfest was not always like the best wonderful event for our business. We would actually lose money during the Oktoberfest, but we would try to be good community citizens and still participate. And one year we had to rent a Pepsi trailer and go up on the town square and sell pizza by the slice along with Pepsi, in order to make a profit. And that was what we had to do. But, there again, you have to have extra staff to go up there. You have to pay for the rental of the trailer. So think about your merchants. And I have had even mayors and, lots of other people say, well, we're going to do this event and we're going to do it down here in this park. And if the businesses want to participate, they can just come and set up a table down in the park. Well, you have to think that through and talk to your businesses about what that means to them. Because if they have a business that they have to keep open, they have to have staff at the business. And if they're a restaurant or somebody who creates a product like food or drink or whatever, they have to how do they transport that between the park and their business? And how many extra staff people do they have to bring in and pay? And if they're doing something like pizza, does the pizza get cold, or do they have to, we had boxes to keep the pizzas hot between the pizza place and the park. But you've got all kinds of logistical things as a business that taking your business to a secondary location is not easy. Okay. And so for a very, very small business that doesn't have a lot of help and doesn't have a lot of people, what can often happen and what often does is if a business does that, they can have a very negative experience with a customer, right? That then they're angry because the pizza was cold or it took too long for the pizza. Maybe you run out of pizzas and then the pizza place has to send more pizzas to the park and that takes time. And, whatever it is, a customer can have a negative experience at a special event with the business, and then they take it out on that business for their regular business. And so it isn't always a great thing when you say as a Main Street program, oh, well, our businesses can just all come to the park and set up a table. Right? So talk to your businesses about that and think it through. It's always better if you can do a business district special event in the district itself. I don't care if you have a park a block away and it's a great location. If everybody's in the park, nobody's in the businesses, right? So think that through. Try to put yourself always in the place of your businesses and what that's going to do to their bottom line. Because again, they're not there for fun. They're there to make a profit. That's what businesses do. So before you plan a lavish party for your entire community, the committee has to decide what the event is supposed to accomplish and how it helps achieve your organization's transformation strategies. Do you need a traffic building event, or is it important to target a specific market niche? And some of the categories for special events can be community heritage, special holidays, or social events. So you have to think these events through too. I had a community that at one time they had a factory that made long underwear, the kind of long underwear that had the dropout, bottoms in them. And so this community decided they were going to do the Great Outdoor Underwear Festival, right? And they did it for I don't know how many years, and they had all kinds of fun with this event. Well, after 15 years or so of doing this event, started to get a little raunchy, because you run out of new things to do sometimes when you're doing events. And they had based it on the history of this factory, which was no longer there. So after a while, it just got old and it was worn out, and people started. There started to be negative things happening to their community as a result of the event. So the reason I'm telling you this is think through very carefully why you're doing the event. Think through very carefully all of the good, bad, and ugly that can happen with an event. And then every single year, your event committee should, after the fact, go over the event and scrutinize it and say, did it actually achieve the things that we meant for it to achieve when we did this event? Or, did it not? And look, guys, if it is an event that is not doing what it's supposed to do, get rid of it. Having events just to have events is not a good thing. The events need to be quality events, just like remember our guiding principles in Main Street. Everything that we do should be quality, right? So Zombie-toberfest is a really good example of this. When Audubon Park Garden District first started, they were trying, at first they kind of didn't have an identity. They kind of, were just trying to get going. And so I don't know where the Zombie-toberfest idea came from, but, they always say in Audubon Park, we like to dress up in costumes. And so maybe that was part of it. I don't know. But I don't know that zombies have anything to do with Audubon Park, but this was their thing. And they got written up in the Chicago Tribune for this event, and people loved this event. My husband and I went to the event the first couple of years, and I've never watched a zombie movie, and I'm not a zombie fan, so I kind of don't get it, but it was fun to watch people having fun, right? So after so many years, you see this poster says 8th annual. So they've done this for a while. Audubon Park started taking a look at the Zombie-toberfest, and they started having some complaints from some of their businesses, and so they're like, I don't think this event is doing what we originally wanted it to do. And by now, Audubon Park has their identity, they have their image, they know who they are, they're very well respected, and so they just reinvented the event. They still do Zombie-toberfest, but it's not like the first Zombie-toberfest they did. And now everybody's very happy with it. And unfortunately, they aren't able to do it this year, which I think is very sad. But, I think it was a great thing that they sat down and they did a big critique of this event and decided we can do better. So that's really important. Encouraging your merchant participation, like we talked about before. What can they do, even if they're going to have their businesses open, or in some cases they might be closed? What can they do to participate in the event? So not all of our businesses here in Orlando have great windows that they can do window displays, but they can do all kinds of things like hang flags. They can figure out, like here in the downtown, Thornton Park and City District went together and had an event where they decorated their windows for the holidays. You can do some kind of an event, district t-shirt day, where everybody wears the district t-shirt. So any business you go into, they're going to have on that district's t-shirt. You can do cooperative advertising. You can select a theme, whether it's like, whatever month, pick one of the months. Nowadays you can just go online and look at, like I said, last Friday was National Cheeseburger Day, National Hamburger Day, whatever it was. There's an event like that for everything. I remember when the first time I found one of those websites, it was like National Bubble Wrap Appreciation Day. I mean, just look at those different events and you can grab onto them and create themes and really have a lot of fun with them, and don't have to use a lot of resources, either people or financial resources. They can be a lot of fun and get people to participate. Provide a guidebook, and again, it doesn't have to be a physical guidebook, but give your businesses ideas. Again, your small businesses are focusing on keeping their businesses open, running, and making a profit. They're not focusing on, how they participate in your event. So you could put together some guidelines either in your newsletter or send out on your mass email distribution list. If you're a business in our district, we're going to be doing this event on such and such a day, and here's some ways that you could tag onto this event and participate along with us and help get people into your business. That, I think, would be greatly appreciated by businesses. So encourage community groups as well to use your business district to stage events that are their own events. Now, I tell this, when I was a Main Street director, I was Main Street director in a very, very large downtown. And we had a town square, but we also had a carousel district area. And, we had competing events a lot of times in these two areas. There was no need for our Main Street to do our own events because there were so many other groups that used our downtown to do events that it was fine. So we would tag on a lot of times to their events, or like we had the Miss Ohio pageant and festival in our downtown. So, you know, we would tag on and we would do something along with that, along lines of that. Like I said, we had the sports car course when they were in town. We would do stuff like that. We had a car club, and I can't remember the name of the car club. My uncle and aunt had a lot of like road racer cars back in the day, but they were a part of the car club. But this car club did this huge event, and they called it Heart of the City Cruise In. And the city actually wouldn't allow them to cruise, but they parked all over the downtown these beautiful vintage cars, and we had hundreds of them. And, you know, we didn't put the event on, but we helped sponsor the trophies, and we got to vote in the awards. Our board members did, and we participated in it. We handed out the trophies, you know, so it was something that we partnered with, but it was their event. So it doesn't always have to be your event. Now, my caveat that I would say to that, we had a deal with the city of Mansfield that they allowed 4 events a year in our downtown that were sanctioned events by the city council, and our city like paid the fees and things for those. And we had to be a part of that decision of which 4 events as the Main Street program. If it wasn't one of those 4 sanctioned events, they had to apply through the city, kind of like here in Orlando, we have an 18A permit process. But our Main Street program kind of had the first right of refusal, like I said with the underwear event. If it was some kind of event that was going to detract or take away or have some kind of a negative image for our downtown, the city council would allow Main Street to kind of weigh in on that and say, yeah, this really isn't the kind of event that we would like to have here. So, you know, you have to kind of work along with your city. If you want to have other groups use the downtown, you want to make sure that they're still not doing anything that's going to destroy your image, because it certainly could. And again, then make evaluations, changes, and additions after every single year of a special event. And then make sure that you invite or you thank all of your sponsors and your volunteers. Because you could have, we had a promotion committee that had 250 volunteers. They didn't come to promotion committee meetings, but they had, every event had a group of volunteers that helped with that event. And when you added them all up, there were 250 people that were working to help this Main Street with their promotions. But you want to make sure you thank every single one of those groups and those people, because they don't have to come and help you. They're doing that out of their own, you know, their own time, you know, and then a lot of times at their own expense. And then your sponsors, our College Park Main Street, Reggie has put together this sponsorship package that I think is amazing. She puts it together to like go out and get sponsors every year and tell them why they should sponsor their events. And then she also tells them, you know, this is how many hits we had and how many views we had. And, you know, she puts together kind of the whole package and the whole reason for them. And then when the event is over, she kind of uses that to go out and then thank them, you know, for what they've done and tell them what the event achieved. So remember that, you know, if you're going to ask somebody to give you money and sponsor an event, make sure you get back to them afterwards and say, this is how many people came. This is some of the great things that happened, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Also pay attention to details. Details are super, super important in everything we do in Main Street. You know, just watch out for the details. All special events should have 5 things: music, food, appeal to all ages, overlapping events, and then something for free. Okay? Special events can kick off retail seasons, they can extend them with extra excitement, or they can fill in those slack periods in your calendar like I shared before. some of the great events we have here that are related to culture and community. Our Mills 50 district started doing a Lunar New Year festival years ago. And they, you know, we have a very large Vietnamese community in Orlando, but we also in that area have pretty much every Asian ethnicity recognized. And so there was really like no event that kind of brought that all together. And this, I think this has been a wonderful cultural event that people are very proud of every year. Our SoDo district started a Light Up SoDo event years ago. That community also had never been named before and never had a community event. And people were looking for something they could bring their families and their kids to. And, you know, they get the Disney princesses out there and Santa and this train, and they had snow. I mean, look at that big, beautiful Christmas tree. So that community was really, really looking for something that they could bring their families to. So that's been wonderful. The Thornton Park district does SantaCon. You know, their district is downtown for grown-ups, right? So they have a different kind of Christmas event. Through COVID, you know, everybody's kind of had to pivot because the special events are kind of off the table right now, the big, large events that we all do. And so I've been really, really impressed with these drive-in theater events that a couple of our districts have done. And, you know, these events are not going to earn a boatload of money like some of our other events do, but I think people have really appreciated being able to have somewhere they can go and something they can do and still be safe, and things that they can take their kids to and everybody can stay in the car. And I think this has been a really good pivot, Our Gateway district has done a Jazz and Wine Festival that's been really successful as well. This is an event that I fell in love with years ago, and I've always hoped that somebody in Orlando would pick this up and run with it and do it. Nobody's been that brave yet, but I always like to share about this event because they stole the idea from Disney, right? The Christy Trevorrow that runs the downtown Rochester Main Street came to Disney and saw this and said, I can do this in Rochester, Michigan. And so you see here, now I have to tell you, I've been seeing Rochester, Michigan pictures like this for years, and this looks like a small town downtown at first glance when you look at it. When we had the National Main Street Conference in Detroit, we jumped in the car and we took a trip to Rochester so we could see what it was like. It looks just like our long linear districts in Orlando. It's not a small town downtown. It's a suburb of Detroit. So don't let it fool you. They have figured out, and you can see here, they've got street trees and ornamental street lights. They did a streetscape and they've worked very hard on their building stock. But you see there, this is a 4-lane highway, right? So this is not a small little tiny downtown, but they really have made it feel that way. So Orlando, we can do this. But they have done this big bright light show for a long time. And you see those sidewalks? This is in Detroit, Michigan, you guys. It is cold there. And sometimes there's 12 inches of snow on the ground. And look at how many people on the street they have. They get 3.5 million visitors every year that come to see this light show, right? So they started it in 2006. They have 1.2 million lights that cover the buildings every 4 inches. The lights go on the Monday after Thanksgiving, and they're on every night from 6 to midnight. And the Main Street program pays the utility bill for the businesses that's over and above their regular utility bill. And I'll tell you in a minute how they do that. From through January 1st. It attracts over 1 million. They told me 3.5 before. Funded by the DDA, so it's TIF dollars. So it's just like the DDB here in Orlando and downtown. It's a business improvement district. Sponsorships and merchandise sales, and then they have a membership program just to the Big Bright Light Show. The other thing that they do is they have a Big Bright Ball in July that is a dress-up ball that they raise money to pay that electric bill and to put this program on. So I just think this is one of those, feel good things that is a great idea. They're still doing it today. How many years later? How many decades later? So the do's and don'ts for promotion. Don't plan more than you can handle. Okay? Don't ever do that. Quality is more important than quantity. Okay? I'll give you another example from Audubon Park. When they first started, they didn't have a lot of money. They didn't have a lot of volunteers. Audubon Park doesn't have a lot of great staging places to do events. So they decided to do a lot of small events that they could handle, that they had very low risk of losing any money. But pretty soon, when I would say the words Audubon Park, people would say, oh, that's the area where they're always doing something. So they got to be very well known by doing a lot of very small, very high quality events, okay? So keep that in mind. You don't always have to do these great big huge events. They really take a lot of your human and financial capital to plan, and they're very high risk. If I believe the Milk District, the first year they tried to do, I think it was Rockin' Robinson, we had a hurricane come through. Well, then everything they'd put into this event was gone. They lost it all. So you have to keep that in mind too. Don't schedule events in competition with other events. Kayla in our office, the directors are supposed to get in any of their events to Kayla by the 15th of the month for the coming month's calendar. And so we try to keep that calendar. We try to get everybody communicating with each other so we all know when we're doing one another's events so we're not competing with each other. Don't spend all of your time on traditional holiday events. I'm a big Christmas geek. I love Christmas. I love to go to Christmas events. I love Christmas decorations. I love Christmas music. All of that. But Christmas, is only one time of year. So don't spend all of your time doing your Christmas events, right? You have to think about other events. And again, I really challenge you to be creative. Don't just do a Grinch that stole Christmas event because somebody else did it, or, be creative and be unique. And remember, focus on the image of your district, the image of your community, what fits in with your demographics, what's a part of your market niche. Just keep going back to that all the time about what events you should do. Don't focus all your activities on just retail or just festivals. Okay, there's other things out there to focus your activities around, and don't let just a couple of people do everything. I know it's kind of like the church rule, 20% of the people do 80% of the work, and Main Street's kind of like the same way, but you want to try to delegate. That's why we have work plans, and we didn't talk about work plans very much, but promotion is probably the committee that work plans are the most important, because if you're going to do an event, you've got to delegate responsibilities to different individuals. You can't have just a couple of people doing everything, and especially you can't have your executive director doing everything. I go to some of these events and I see the executive directors running around like chickens with their heads cut off. You've got to have enough volunteers, and I tell everybody, if you don't have enough volunteers, don't do the event, because it won't be quality and you're going to burn people out, and that's one of the biggest reasons why we lose people, right? So everybody has to do their share, and if everybody does a little bit, nobody has to do a lot. Do plan your events 6 to 12 months in advance. I got to tell you, this is, if I can look at the camera with a stern eye, this is the biggest bugaboo that I have. Is I will get directors all the time that will come to me in October and go, we're going to do this huge event for the holidays. In October, they're going to start it. And it drives me crazy. You cannot do a really, really quality event that you put together at the last minute. If you do, you're very lucky, okay? But it is a recipe for disaster. So your promotional calendar should be planned out 6 to 12 months in advance. And when I say planned out, I mean a detailed work plan of who's doing everything, right? And you need to do that. Do match your activities with your targeted groups and your strategies. Do delegate. When I look at your work plans in January, when I do evaluations, if I see the Main Street director's name after every single little thing, it's like, timeout, warning sign, trouble, right? You've got to delegate. Even if you have to partner with other organizations to help get people to do things for you, delegate. Do evaluate your promotions regularly and do partner with other organizations. The most important thing is, I will say in all of the things that you do in Main Street, doing a big special event, doing promotions is probably the hardest things that you do, but it's also where you can have the most fun. And even though Main Street is, we are all about business, right? We want to make sure our volunteers have fun. And I can tell you from the day I started in Main Street, everything we did in the end, you have to make it fun, because your businesses aren't going to want to participate if you're in there wagging your finger in their face. And, volunteers aren't going to want to come and help and volunteer if you're wagging your finger in their face and you're yelling at them that they're not doing their part. You need to make sure everybody has fun, and they will come back. And if other people see your volunteers having fun, you will get more volunteers if people are having fun, right? And it's just one of those things that what we are doing is so important, but it is also building community through people being connected with their businesses, their neighbors. Back to the beginning with that slide of, the owner is home, they're a part of your community. We're building that where people, when they have thoughts, think about when you were a kid and you were growing up and the special places and the special events that your parents took you to. And this is what we want to try to have in our main streets, is so that when these kids grow up, they're like, that's my neighborhood district. That's my downtown. They're connected to it because they have memories, and those memories are good, wonderful, positive memories of places that they went to have fun. Okay? So with that, we'll open it up to questions. Oh, I see we got a chat box. Okay. Oh, Scotty Campbell, if you're in Orlando. Scotty's one of our former Main Street directors, and he works at the Orange County Public Library System. And he says the library is definitely open to helping and partnering. So reach out to Scotty. I don't know what Christina Hollerbach is saying in that. GPOV, I'm not sure what that is. I'm always saying GPOV, guest point of view. My managers know to do the sidewalk stroll. Hashtag preach. Oh, thank you, David Buckaloo. It was Sirius Radio. I can't ever think of that. I don't know why. Jeff Chabon said he couldn't find the app in the App Store for iPhone. There is an app. Check again, Jeff. It's DISTRX. There's no I. It's DISTRX, and it should be in the App Store. Stephanie Martin says Reggie's done a fantastic job for us in College Park. Yes, she has. And I have Reggie's sponsorship package, and she has given me permission to share it. I've shared it with some of our other promotion committees. So if anybody would like to see that, just reach out and send me an email. Now, you won't hear back from me right away. As soon as I'm done with this at noon, I'm going on vacation. So I won't be back till next week. So don't expect it till then, but I'll be happy to send that out to you. Anybody else have any questions? There's one in question and answer. Oh, Jeff said thank you. You're welcome, Jeff. Any other questions? Everybody's quiet today. Okay, well, I'm going to let you all go. And just remember, the recording will be available I don't know how many of you, I know the Florida Main Street people had a quarterly meeting today, so they're going to watch the recording. I hope you guys enjoy the recording. We missed you today. But if you have other people from your promotion committees or board members who have never taken the promotion training, please feel free to share the link with them. It'll be on the Orlando Main Street's Facebook page and on the City of Orlando's YouTube channel. There's a special Main Street training channel on there that all the trainings are under. And Kyle will be sharing the slides with all of you that registered. So if there's no other questions, thanks everyone for joining us. We're really happy to have you today. And next Tuesday, I believe, we're going to do board training. So if you're a new board member to Main Street, please plan on attending that. That one is mandatory for our board members if you've never taken it before. But it's a good training to learn more about how Main Streets function. So with that, everybody, I'm off on vacation, and y'all have a rest of your week. Enjoy this fall-like weather, and take care, and let us know if there's any other way that we can help any of you. Thanks, David. Thanks, Scotty. Take care. Bye-bye.